The key to the Smooth Quad Divide tool, or SQD tool, is the subdivision panel. This is displayed by right-clicking on the SQD icon. The only entry is the angle between faces. Any angles between faces smaller than the number displayed will be divided. This is demonstrated by bringing a simple cube onto the grid. Click on the SQD tool with the angle set to 90 degrees. Since there are no angles on the cube that are less than 90, nothing will happen. Now set the angle to 91 and click on the tool again. The cube is slightly rounded. Reduce the value to 55 and click again. Another level of rounding occurs. Now set the angle to 20 and click on the tool. The four faces in the middle of each side have angles greater than 20, so no rounding occurred. Undo and increase the angle to 25. SQD to round out the entire cube. Note the similarity of the geometry when compared to a surface subdivided cube. Note that the surface subdivision tool creates geometry inside the smoothed object, while the SQD tool creates geometry outside the smoothed object. Now for something more interesting. From the object library of the Polygon Modeling project, we will click and drag the Goblet 1 object to the middle of the screen. Set the angle of subdivision to 68 and click on the SQD tool 3 times. Note that the top of the lip did not get rounded. This is because the inside and outside edges are not connected. This is an important tip in preparing your geometry for use with the SQD tool to achieve certain effects. Undo the smoothing. Now drag Goblet 2 to the grid. Note how the inside and outside edges of the lip are connected. Click on the SQD tool and note how the lip becomes deformed with each click, as it is now subject to smoothing. Delete Goblet 2. Quad Divide Goblet 1 once and click the SQD tool several times. Note how the 0-degree angle across the faces becomes rounded. Undo. Now let's try with just 2 faces quad divided. Face division is another important tip in preparing your geometry for use with the SQD tool to achieve certain effects. Let's delete Goblet 1. Note that you can use the SQD tool to round only selected faces, just like with the Quad Divide tool. Let's drag Goblet 3 to the grid. Note the thickened base. Click the SQD tool several times. Note the difference in the look of the base. Undo. Now let's select all the faces except for the bottom ones. This is accomplished by turning on Faces as the feature to be selected and using the rectangular selection tool with backside checked to select all the faces on the object. Now click on the subdivision tool several times. Note the result now. Face selection is another important tip in geometry results. Delete the goblet. It is also useful to vary the angle during the smoothing process, since some faces will not be divided, thus changing the smoothing results on the surrounding faces. Drag Goblet 1 to the grid and set the angle to 56. SQD once. Note that only a few of the faces have been smoothed. Set the angle to 60 and SQD again. Now set it to 70 and SQD again. Changing the angle during the smoothing process and thus the division order is another important tip in geometry results. Play around with this little understood tool and learn to apply its principles. It is a powerful tool in your toolbox.